Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Fearless Friday event for June. I'm Susanna DeBaca. I'm the president and group publisher of Business Publications Corporation, which is the parent company of the Business Record. And we are absolutely delighted that you can be here with us today as we work to be more and to fear less. We're very glad to have you with us. Some of you have joined us before, but we also know that there are some new faces here too. And so we're very, very happy to see you. This month's topic is advocacy and community involvement. This theme is very near and dear to my own heart. As the child of parents who were very involved in social issues, especially around social justice, I was taught from the very, very beginning to stand up for what I believe in and to be an advocate for others. Early on, I was very fortunate to be influenced by a bunch of strong women in my life, my grandmothers, my mother, my aunt, and my best friend's mother. And they helped me to become interested in finding my own voice. Through their influence, I became very interested in advocating for women's rights. I marched for the Equal Rights Amendment as a young girl, and as I got older, I volunteered at women's shelters. I worked on campaigns. I got out the votes during elections and continued to be very interested in advocating for access to health care for women. And I am curious to know this morning, what is an issue that you have advocated for or been involved in? So chat something that's near and dear to you in terms of advocacy, and I'll shout a couple out as they come in. Mental health, says Bernie Stone. Absolutely. Anything else? Be very curious. I know mental health is something really important in our community. Oral health, healthcare all wraps up into so many different things. Keep chatting. Education, family farms, Suzanne, absolutely. Girls in STEM, affordable housing. So you guys are getting the drift, and that's why we're here today. Advocating for others and advocating for issues is so important. But as I learned when I was a young girl, even if I had role models, even if I'd been taught to stand up for what I believe in, it takes courage to be an advocate. Standing up for ourselves is hard enough, but standing up for others and taking the time to do that when we have so many things going on in our life can be difficult, and it can be intimidating. It can even be scary. And that is why we think it's so important to talk about it here at Fearless. That's what we're going to do today. But before we get started, it's always my privilege to introduce Emily Barsky, who is the editor of the Business Record. I think as many of you who have been on Fearless before know, Emily was instrumental in the development of Fearless last fall. And along with Emily Blowbaum, whose title is Fearless Editor, and the rest of the Business Record team, including our publisher and executive editor, Chris Konetsky, continue to produce relevant, timely, and very powerful work to help you succeed in work and life. When we launched Fearless last year, our goal was to create a compelling product, of course. We wanted to create something that we wanted to read, but something that you looked forward to reading, or events that you just couldn't wait to attend. We wanted hard-hitting, high-impact content. And developing Fearless was not always easy. We've worked very hard to find our voice, which we hope is your voice. And therefore, it is especially gratifying for me to share some news with you. We learned on Wednesday that the Business Record, once again, has been recognized with several very prestigious industry awards by our peers at the Alliance of Area Business Publishers. And in particular, Fearless was honored with a Gold Award for Best Specialty Newspaper among all business publications in the United States. So this is what the judges had to say. about the work of our team. This newsletter stands apart in its commitment to a large and growing facet of the publication's readership. The staff uses its editorial content to connect readers while acknowledging the real-life challenges that come with leadership in today's environment. Editors share a strong voice that sets a tone, offering actionable advice while encouraging community and comradeship. So congratulations to Emily Barsky, to Emily Blowbaum, to Chris Konetsky, and the entire team. And thanks to you, our readers and our viewers, for tuning in, for giving us great feedback, and sharing your thoughts about what you wanted to hear. So proud of the team. My admiration and my gratitude are very deep. What we are doing here at Fearless, we actually believe is advocacy. So let's applaud Emily Barsky and Blowbaum for this recognition. And now I'm very happy to turn it over to Emily Barsky, who will give you an overview of today's program. Emily?
Thank you, Susanna, and good morning, everyone. We're really excited about the AABP Award, and we know that a lot of that came from creating a product that it was developed because of what our audience told us they were needing and wanting. So it's in large part because of you all that we were able to create Fearless. Just a few quick technology tips as we start this morning. If for some reason we lose our connection or Zoom shuts down, you can simply return to the event through the same link that you used to get in. If you have any questions related to technology or our program, please feel free to drop those in the chat at any time, and our staff will be happy to address those. So as Susanna was saying, we created Fearless in November, and it really came out of a simple goal to empower Iowa women to succeed in work and life. It's our belief that women's issues are everyone's issues. And so we want everyone to feel welcome in our conversations. And we believe that connecting our Fearless audience is really important to that. So our hope is that as everyone reads the newsletter each week, that you'll find something that's of particular interest to you and in-depth content that helps you learn something new or understand a different perspective. I know as I'm editing it each week, I get to learn something new. So I hope that's the case for all of you. And so then when we come together at the end of each month, we want to give you the chance to talk about it and meet others that are equally passionate about these issues. So that's really the goal of the Fearless Friday series in particular. And through Fearless, we're really trying to have discussion of timely topics. But we also wanted to ensure that many issues that affect women and that we know everyone cares about could be focused on. So we selected a monthly theme for those that folks told us were most important to them in our surveys. So that's where we got to this month's theme of advocacy and community involvement. And we chose this topic because advocacy can mean many things. It can mean standing up for yourself or other women. It can mean fighting for a cause that you care about. It can mean finding ways to help others and do work that makes our communities a better place to be. And some of us have had advocacy as part of our professional roles, while others of us are advocates through volunteerism, or perhaps both. So today we want to talk about what it means to advance causes you care about through advocacy and community involvement. That might look different for all of us. It could mean pushing for inclusive policy, placemaking within our communities, or seeing an unmet need and deciding to do something about it. So we'll start today hearing from our two speakers who will each share their own personal stories with advocacy and community involvement, and then we'll get into a couple of small group discussions. And you'll want to stick around to the very end because we'll do a drawing for a Fearless prize. And as you listen and talk with others today, we hope that you'll think of ways that you can stay connected with Fearless, whether that's submitting a story idea, following up with one of the people you meet, or making note of a topic you want to learn more about later. So now getting into our program, our first speaker today is Karn Gregory, President of the Fisher Governor Board of Trustees and Secretary of the Fisher Governor Board of Directors. Karn, who is from Marshalltown, has been influential in several community initiatives and recently retired after leading the Martha Ellen Ty Foundation for nearly a decade. Some of you know that I'm from Marshalltown. I'll never forget when the 2018 tornado came through the city. Karn was away on vacation, but came back immediately. And by the time the next day had come around, a disaster recovery fund had been set up, thanks in large part to her efforts. having a place for people to donate in the face of disaster, especially when national media are still covering it, is really important and can't be understated. So I just thought I would mention that personal anecdote. But Karn, thank you for being here today.
Thanks, Emily. Yeah, that was quite the time. I think you were on board at the local newspaper, a week when that hit? Oh my goodness. So on that topic, as many of you probably already know, in less than 2 years, Marshalltown was severely hit by 2 natural disasters. In July of 2018, an EF3 tornado started on the west side of town, and it traveled right through our Main Street district and continued through the east side of town. 95% of the buildings in the downtown district were damaged by this, and many, or quite a few, were stripped to the ground. And it's now been estimated it's going to take well over 5 years to fully recover from that destruction. However, less than a year and a half later, all progress came to a halt as our entire world dealt with COVID-19. And if that wasn't enough, on August 10th of last year, Marshalltown was one of the most severely hit by the derecho that traveled through Iowa. The devastation left in its wake continues to be felt as the community works to recover from both the tornado and the derecho. So what have we learned? Besides witnessing many miracles, we have witnessed the power of networks. Unlike a structured organization, in a network there are many leaders working collaboratively and using their influence to help drive a shared vision. For Marshalltown, we had one established network in place before the tornado hit, and one network that was established shortly after March of last year. I'll start with the network that was established in 2015. At that time, leadership representation of every sector of Marshalltown came together to establish a vision for the community along with mission and value statements. At that time, 8 years ago, Marshalltown truly needed to shift its trajectory, and this group of visionary leaders were the ones to jumpstart the process. Included in that group of leadership was the superintendent of our schools, the CEO of the hospital, the CEO of our largest company, which was about a $2 billion company. We had the city administrator, the executive director of the Community Foundation of Marshall County, the publisher of the Times Republican, the executive director of the Martha Ellen Ty Foundation, well, that was me. We had the mayor, and we also felt as though because all of these leaders were older in age, that it was very important to bring on a couple of people representing the younger generation, young professionals. And so we had 2 within our group for that representation. This network became known as Vision Marshalltown. And the vision of this group was Marshalltown embodies the pride, passion, and purpose of a global community rooted in hometown Iowa quality of living. The mission statement is Vision Marshalltown is a network of organizations and individuals committed to taking action that helps Marshalltown prosper and grow. The group is in place for those who seek cohesive and positive community and who want something larger and are willing to share the victories afforded by the extraordinary opportunities provided there. Now, from the onset, we recognized that in Marshalltown, and I'm guessing in many of your communities, there's this very small but very loud negative group of individuals. And we found that it was necessary and ultimately very helpful to maintain the following statement and value. Our leaders are committed to growing and positively transforming Marshalltown with a mindfulness of overcoming the paralyzing consequences of cynicism through positive outreach, messaging, and dialogue. Over the years, it has been very helpful to keep the negativity in perspective, thus allowing for the continuation of prosperity and growth. This strong network of community leaders met monthly to review the progress as it relates to growing Marshalltown's housing, downtown transformation, education, and an expansion of our community's pride and reputation. The leadership represented in this network would not necessarily have met together without participating in a network. This heightened level of collaboration provides enhanced progress as the community works together with common visions for our community's future. The value of this established group became crystal clear post each of the two natural disasters, as well as the outbreak of COVID-19. With this network already in place, our community was able to move much better and in unison as we address the multitude of community issues that we faced. The second network was developed shortly after the COVID-19 shutdown. Thankfully, through the utilization of Zoom, a group was pulled together to discuss community needs, gaps of services, and resources. All local agencies, such as United Way, Child Abuse Prevention Center, Salvation Army, Mid-Iowa Community Action Agency, they were all brought together, but we also included the Chamber of Commerce, the Central Business District, the Community Foundation of Marshall County, and the Martha Ellen Ty Foundation. It quickly became apparent that this cross-section of various sectors was exceedingly helpful. For example, the nonprofit agencies the leaders that were represented there received guidance from the Chamber of Commerce on how to apply and receive the PPPs. They then could take that to their agencies who did not have the resources to know what they were needing to do. On the other hand, the Chamber received guidance from the agencies on where Chamber businesses could receive community resources. So these businesses were so concerned about their employees, and the support services that were being provided in our community were shared at these meetings as well. Funds were also exchanged between agencies as resources ebbed and flowed during the COVID shutdown. Having this network already in place when the derecho hit was exceedingly important, as once again our community navigated the devastation left in its wake. And although it is our hope and certainly our prayer that there will not be another disaster for many decades, this network has decided to continue to meet on a monthly basis. The power and progress of this collaborative group cannot be overstated. Together, the synergy is making Marshalltown better and a stronger community. The power of a network is much different than a formalized organization. In a network, there are many organizations committed to a shared vision, and where there is shared power and responsibility. There is much greater flexibility for quick responses in a network, which in Marshalltown's case was a huge benefit as we addressed disasters. Yet we also kept our focus on the vision of growing and prosperity moving forward. And although I was instrumental in developing both of these networks, it was only because of the collaboration and dedication of network members that they have both been so successful. Marshalltown is actually known for its collaboration between unlikely partners, and I have no doubt that this community will continue to prosper and grow because of the people who continue to work together. So in closing, I was asked to give some advice. So here we go. Networks can move mountains. They're built through working together towards common vision and goals. The process provides the opportunity to build trusting relationships with unlikely partners, or sometimes groups that represent the same sector of a community. So my advice is this: embrace the opportunities provided through networks.
Thank you, Karn. And thanks for that great advice about networking and collaboration. Our next speaker up is Angelina Hemphill of Eagle Scout Troop 188. Angelina is a member of the inaugural class of female Eagle Scouts nationwide and one of the first ever from Iowa. In February, she was recognized by the Mid-Iowa Council Boy Scouts of America, along with Hannah Massey of Ottumwa as the council's first two female Eagle Scouts. She completed 21 merit badges for tasks such as climbing, tying knots, and fishing. She completed 9 more electives than she needed to earn the rank of Eagle Scout, and some of her volunteerism has included conservation work. On average, only 6% of Scouts attain Scouting's highest rank, according to Scouts BSA. Thanks for being here, Angelina.
Hello, thank you for having me. My name is Angelina Hemphill, and I'm going to be a senior this year at Ankeny High School. I'm in Troop 188, and I got my Eagle back in October. Not only am I an Eagle Scout, I'm also a musician, an athlete, and a cheerleader. And I've had an amazing experience in scouting, and it has set me up for success, not only in teaching me leadership, but overcoming challenges, being involved in the community, and it has opened up opportunities for me in career paths and the rest of my future. As far as community involvement goes, it's mostly organized by the entirety of our troop, and we're just out in the community doing service projects like food drives and outdoor cleanup projects, wildlife and conservation restoration. My Eagle Scout project actually was a conservation project out at Camp Chautauqua through Polk County Conservation. So we restored a prairie and removed an entire field of willow trees. As far as the rest of restoration goes, our troop works at different summer camps, outdoor cleanup. This year, derecho cleanup, we worked a lot at Camp Matigua.
Angelina, your accomplishments are so professional. Hi, I'm Susanna DeBaca, and we are delighted that you're here today. Can you tell us about how you first got started being an Eagle Scout? How did you get towards this goal to begin with?
Yeah, for sure. So, as a little kid, I was dragged along to scouting events with the rest of my family. My older brother was in Scouts before I was, obviously. I wasn't allowed to join until February 2018, but ever since my older brother, who's only 2 years older than me, joined the program, I was going along to Cub Scout stuff, and then once we got older, even campouts with Scouting BSA. And our troop actually let the siblings go along and participate. So I got to do some of the same things, even though I wasn't in the program. So, for example, we went on a wilderness survival camp out, and for that one, you build a shelter out of anything you can find in the woods, and you stay the night in it. And I thought it looked fun, and I was probably like 8 or something, and I made my mom do it with me, and we did it alongside, even though that was what the boys were doing, and slept outside in the woods in our little makeshift shelter. And I just knew that activities like that in the program was what I wanted to be a part of, and unfortunately I was unable to until they opened it up to girls. So as soon as they did, I jumped on the opportunity. I knew it was what I wanted to do, and before I even started, I had the goal of Eagle. Before I even knew girls could be in Scouts, I knew that's what I wanted.
That is amazing. My brother was a Boy Scout, and a couple times I had to babysit their troop and taught them how to clean a fish. I remember that one. See, she's nodding, right? What was it like then when girls were allowed and you were on this path? Did people ask you about being a girl and, with this kind of goal, and how did you respond?
For the most part, everyone was nothing but supportive, especially in the troop. All the boys, all the youth, totally was accepting. I had nothing but support from our adult leaders. The only obstacle I had to overcome with some controversy was, kids at school, but it was less me being a girl in Scouts. It was more just being in Scouts. So there wasn't really any discrimination because of my gender. I did happen to stumble across some controversy on Facebook. Some people really didn't agree with the idea of girls being in Scouts. And I knew that along the way I would run into that no matter what. For me, it was just important to keep my eye on my goal because nobody else is going to get me there but me. And it was just a lot. I had a lot of support. And
you talked about the support before as well, and that your mom encouraged you. Who advocated for you along the way, or who have been role models for you as you work towards this goal?
Yeah, absolutely. My parents have been there for me every step of the way, just pushing me. They're motivators for me. They wanted me to succeed. They wanted everything that I wanted. And then every single adult leader in my troop has been a tremendous help. For example, Seth Elgin is the scoutmaster of the boys troop that we are conjoined with, and Shad Davis is the scoutmaster of the girls troop. And our troops run in unison. They're joint units, so both units have a scoutmaster, and then both have an SPL, which is a senior patrol leader. So it's the main youth leader. And I actually got to run that with my brother as the other one for the boys troop. And with our two scoutmasters working together, they were behind me every step of the way. They wanted me to succeed. They helped me a tremendous amount throughout my journey, and they really wanted to see me do everything that I wanted to. I had many other adults in the troop. For example, Steve Boswick just has been rooting for me since before I could even join. Most of these adults knew me before it was possible, so when they heard it was, like, they thought of me. They were like, okay, this is your deal, let's do it. And so I just kind of jumped in, and everyone was there to help. And it was just an amazing support system. Really is probably what helped me the most.
That's fantastic. Barsky, I think you have a question as well, right?
Yeah, so Angelina, I know you mentioned having lots of support. So one of my questions for you is obviously having the support of boys, and then you mentioned a couple men there. What advice do you have for boys and men to be allies for girls and women?
My advice is, I don't know, just treat everyone the same. You know, there's really no difference, especially when you're completing the same tasks, overcoming the same obstacles. You know, I didn't see myself as any different, not smarter, not more efficient than anyone else in the troop. And I think it's just important to keep in mind that everyone else is essentially on the same journey. You know, some people have different goals, but you're all there for about the same reason. You believe in about the same things. So it's just important to see yourself in other people and understand that they're overcoming the same challenges.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for being here, Angelina. I love that about seeing yourself in other people. I think that's great advice. So thank you to both Karn and Angelina for talking with our audience this morning. We're going to transition now to the discussion part of our program. So we'll transport you into breakout rooms to talk about an issue that you're specifically passionate about. So the question that we're asking your group to discuss is what's an issue you're passionate about? As you get into the discussion, we hope that you'll learn from each person's unique perspective. If you get somewhat off topic, that's okay. We just want you to have a meaningful discussion about these issues. And if you could, please introduce yourselves to start off and give everyone a chance to weigh in. So in a moment, we'll transport you to that breakout room, and we'll send you the question via the chat. But again, it's what's an issue that you're passionate about?
Good morning. I'm Sarah Brown, Director of Advertising at the Business Record, and today I get to introduce this month's Fearless Spotlight. The Spotlight is our effort in sharing a women's organization and providing some insight to their contributions across the state. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce Colby Gregoire, the founder of Girls on Fire, and she's here to tell us about the great work they're doing. Colby?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is my first time participating in this event, and it's been a really, really cool thing. So thank you so much. I'm Colby Gregoire, and I started Girls on Fire, which is an organization for young girls, young women, I would say, actually, between the ages of 20 and 30 is what we say, but we kind of get them all across the board. And it's young women with disabilities. And I started the group with my cousin Hannah, who has cerebral palsy. And as she was graduating from Roosevelt and kind of aging out, her mom started to recognize that there weren't a ton of opportunities for her to get out and socialize. She couldn't, just jump in the car and go hang out with her friends or whatever it may be. And so we thought, if Hannah's having these problems, surely there are other gals in the area who could benefit from an opportunity to socialize as well. And so I always say, over a Blaze Pizza, Girls on Fire was born, and Hannah and I put together a little business plan and kicked it off. Started very small, and we've continued to grow over the past 2 years. So each month we meet and create an opportunity for these young women to socialize. But beyond that, we also saw that there wasn't a ton of opportunity for this population to also be philanthropic and give back, and they have that need and want also. And so with each event, not only do we socialize, but we also try to do something for the community. So we've done everything from create Mayday baskets for Blaine Children's Hospital, to donated in our piggy banks back to Special Olympics, to doing Meals from the Heartland, whatever it may be. And then fun stuff like taking them to art classes and doing yoga in the park, and things that they might not always be interested in or have the opportunity to do. Sarah asked, when she asked me to do this, to share a few ways in which this group could maybe help promote Girls on Fire, or get involved or support us. First and foremost, awareness is everything. And as we continue to grow, just getting the word out that this is an opportunity, and everyone is welcome. I've had a few people who found us on Facebook and shown up at an event, just cold turkey like a blind date, and it has gone swimmingly. And so we always hope that we get newbies at our events. So please follow us on Facebook at Girls on Fire, DM, and then share the events with girls who you think might benefit from the opportunity. Another thing we're always looking for is event space. Places where we can meet. We're right now getting about 20 to 30 girls, I would say, per event. And so as we grow, we've kind of grown out of the opportunity to meet in houses or garages or whatever it may be. So especially when we can't meet in a park, like the colder months, we're looking for event spaces. And then another thing that we would benefit from is sometimes we struggle with coming up with ideas for volunteer opportunities that this group of women could do well. Meals from the Heartland works out really well. They like to have busy hands. So if you have any ideas, I would love to hear from the group, or be emailed after this, for ways in which that you think we could potentially partner or bring these girls out to volunteer.
Thank you, Colby. Thanks for being here this morning and sharing about your organization. We appreciate it. That's great work that you all are doing. So before our next breakout, normally we'd kick it over to Emily Blowbaum, our fearless editor, but she is unable to join us this morning. So I'm going to do my best to represent her, and I'm certainly not a replacement, but I'll do my best. So Emily's the engine behind our coverage on women's and gender issues, and the newsletter that Fearless that won the AABP award. She is really the one that is doing all of the production for it each week. She puts the newsletter together and provides original in-depth reporting. And so if you haven't had the chance to connect with her yet, we'd love if you have the opportunity to do that at some point. So I know one of the things that Emily was hoping to talk about a little bit this morning is journalism as a form of advocacy. So one of the things that I think is is important to understand is in journalism school, we're taught that journalism is supposed to be unbiased, and that we're supposed to present all sides and do so fairly. And there's never necessarily been a spot where we have thought about journalism as a piece of social justice per se. So one of the things that we see though today is that journalism and journalists are advocates, and that we are advocating for the truth. We're advocating for facts to be out there. We're advocating for people to for people to know about all of the issues in their communities so that they can make informed decisions. And while we might not be advocating for specific policies or specific things, we are putting the ideas out there so that people can then make those decisions for themselves. So I know that was something important to her to share this morning, and I just wanted to share that. And Emily does a great job of figuring out how Fearless can play that advocacy role within journalism. So a few of the things that Emily has had in the newsletter this month: we ran a column from One Iowa Executive Director Courtney Reyes as part of Pride Month, and she detailed 6 ways that you can be effective allies to the LGBTQ community, not only for Pride Month, but throughout every month and every part of the year. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out, be sure to do so. Emily also talked with Monique Benkin, who is most recently the Director of Leadership Studies program at Iowa State University, and the Women Lead Change CEO, Tiffany O'Donnell, for a story about how companies can make gender parity in management positions a priority. And on Monday, we're really excited to introduce several women who are mutual aid organizers in Iowa, including the co-founders of the Supply Hive, as well as Sweet Tooth Community Fridge, among some others. So next month, we're going to focus on risk-taking and failure. So if you have any stories that you'd like to share related to that, if there's a time that you took a risk or time that you overcame failure, please reach out to Emily or to me, and we'd be happy to figure out ways that we can cover that in Fearless. So now we're going to get into our final breakout. And what we want to talk about in this one is a lesson that you've learned or an experience that you've had through activism, volunteering, or civic engagement. So what's a lesson that you have learned through those organizations or through the opportunity to volunteer? Well, welcome back, everyone. Hope you had some good breakout discussions. And if you want to, feel free to drop any takeaways that you had in the chat. As we close things out today, we just wanted to give you a sneak peek about what's coming up, and then we'll finish this morning with our drawing for our Fearless Prize. So our next Fearless Friday is set for 8 a.m. on July 30th. And as a reminder, we hold these one Friday each month. July's focus is on risk-taking, and so we hope you'll join us for that. If you signed up for the series today, you'll automatically get the information to join, and you don't need to re-register. If you just signed up for today's event, we'd love for you to join us for the rest of the series. Fearless is really meant to be a community, so if you think someone would be interested in our coverage and events, we encourage you to invite them in, and because we all play a role in empowering women. And of course, please subscribe to our newsletter if you don't already. If you have any questions about Fearless or story ideas, don't hesitate to reach out to Emily Blowbaum. And if you are interested in supporting Fearless in any way, we also have Sarah Brown's sponsorship or Sarah Brown's information up there about sponsorship opportunities. So feel free to reach out if that is of interest to you. So now for our fun giveaway. Not only can we choose to live fearlessly, but we can also show it too. So we randomly selected one of our attendees to win some swag today. So our winner today is Julie Harris, winning a t-shirt, and we'll get you some info on that, Julie. If you want to help spread this fearless spirit as well, there's a link to our swag site there. So congratulations to Julie. Thank you all so much for joining us and spending time with us. And thanks again to our speakers. We hope you have a great Friday and a great weekend. Thank you.